What is going on, guys? It's your boy Scotty. I am back, and this is just a bit of a catch-up video, a bit of a me telling you why the A League's going to be successful this season, and this is my reasons why. So obviously, it is starting in winter this time. Of winter, it's a winter season. It's actually starting in the peak of summer, which is a bit crazy to think about. Footballers running around in the peak of the summer, but that's going to make it go from say end of December through to like June, July, where you're going to have better football, better quality football coming through, because obviously it might be a bit harder at the start because obviously it's summer, but in saying that, like, they're playing through the winter months or the cooler months after summer, so it's going to be a lot cooler for the body and for them playing, like as we saw towards the end of the season. Obviously we had a bit of a COVID break and stuff. The season finished later than what it normally would do, which obviously helped the actual league, give it a bit more chance to think itself and the pattern of the way they were going to go. I think maybe they were thinking about doing this eventually, but the fact that the A-League actually had to shut down, have a big think about what's going to happen, it made so many things come to the forefront. One being aligning it with the NPL, two actually making possibly a second division, and three, possibly having more youth coming through, which is one of the reasons I'm super excited this season. And a lot of people saying, oh, it's not going to do very well. You're not going to be having as many good players coming through, foreigners. There won't be as many foreigners coming through, which for me, I actually think that's a good thing. If we think about it through the years, the amount of youth talent that we lose to go maybe over to Asia, to China, to Japan, stuff like that try to get an opportunity somewhere overseas, and then come back to the A-League thinking, oh, maybe I'll get a chance now. One player that I've seen that happen to that might possibly sign for the Raw, I don't know yet, but was on trial against Penn Power, was Harry Sawyer. He was at the Raw Youth Academy, never really got a chance for whatever reason back then, went overseas to somewhere over Japan, China, somewhere in Asia to try his play his trade over there. Came back, got picked up by the Gold Coast Knights, had a really good season in the NPL, and then now he's on trial for the Raw. So whether or not we sign him or not, but that's just a thing. Like, so many youth players get taken out of the system super early, don't get enough opportunity, and then get lost. And then some people may not ever come and actually make a debut for a senior team, and then we just miss out on opportunity. So this season, obviously, the cap is a lot less because of the fact that obviously the TV rights and everything going on as well with COVID and everything, everyone's struggling. And in saying that, it's also hard to try to get players across from overseas to come back to Australia. Like I was watching, I don't know if you remember, Mitch Austin. He played for Melbourne Victory. He was playing over at Patrick Thistle a while back in the Scottish first flight, I think it was, and then I don't know, I think he's without a club at the moment, but he was just playing FIFA in Manchester and streaming. And he said for him, it's even hard to get back as an Australian citizen. So for everyone else trying to get into Australia, it's even harder. So obviously, there's still the 5 foreigner rule where every team can have up to 5 foreigners. But the fact that a lot of teams probably won't use that this season, or if they will, they might use it more for the players somewhat near, maybe New Zealanders coming into Australia that may not have Australian citizenship, might be foreign players, or say like people in Asian countries that may not have to fly as far. It might be a bit easier. But in saying that, we've seen with the Raw so far, they've brought in a lot of youth players, and which is really good because they get to actually have a chance to have a lot of game time this season because of the fact that obviously it is harder to bring in players that are more expensive, more foreigners, because of the fact that the cap. So a lot more youth players are going to get a chance. So this is awesome for me because of the fact that we have sort of missed up. We had the golden generation, and I don't know why I'm doing this because it was the golden generation. We've never got to that level before where we had so many young players playing in the NSL days, getting opportunity, then getting picked up by overseas teams. And at one stage, almost I think every single soccer player that was in the squad was playing overseas in one of the top flights in Europe. So that's something that I think that will definitely benefit us in the league, having players getting game time and getting opportunities from a young age, such as the likes of Libby Kakache, Sarpreet Singh, players like that New Zealand, Wellington Phoenix do it really. I was going to say New Zealand Phoenix. But that's not the team name. But Wellington Phoenix do it really well with their players. Cam Devlin will be one that will get picked up probably next season if he has another really good season this year. But players that are young, they get opportunities to show what they can do. They build themselves and they grow in confidence. They grow in game time. They grow in ability. And this is what Australia needs for their football, because the fact that there are players that are maybe in their prime that are playing in the A-League. It's good to have experience, but in saying that, there's players that are trying to break through, the 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. People are at that age. They're trying to break into the team. And if you see over in England, a lot of the time they have really good academy systems where they bring players through from a young age, and then once they get to that stage where they're about 21, they're starting to break into the Premier League sides, and then some of them are even doing that, and then are stars in the Premier League side at that age. But a lot of the time in Australia, they're getting missed out because of the fact that we have, especially under Eloise, we had a lot of players coming in that were older players that a lot of players missed out on, such as Zach Duncan, which I thought it would be good for him to stay at the Roar to try to get another season, but he obviously didn't think he was going to get the game time, and to be honest, he probably wouldn't have under Eloise. And the fact that he went over to the Danish league and started playing, and unfortunately he got that injury, which was an ACL injury, which has made him still go out. But it shows that there are players there that if they're given an opportunity, they can do well. And I think a real opportunity for the league is like 1, 2, 3 seasons in the A-League, probably max for them, from when they're about, I don't know, 16 through to, I guess, that 22, 23 period. Because once they get to that age, they want to start moving on to overseas things and trying to test themselves. And then once they're in their prime between 25 and 28, you want to see them playing in the big leagues. And we've only got a few players in the league at the moment, or in Australian, that are actually overseas. We had Matt Ryan. We had Aaron Moy as well. Aaron Moy's gone back to China. But I'm never gonna talk about anyone chasing the money, because of the fact that it probably is a money thing. But if you think of a footballer, you really only play till you're about 36 or so, like that, not even 40 at the most, and you've still got 30 or so years before you retire. So like, what are you going to do for that time? So any player that wants to go overseas to chase a bit more money, it's just setting them up for life, because in high sense, what am I trying to say? In the fact that like footballers don't have it's an awesome job and everything like that, but like the fact that it's not a really long-standing job, they're going to have to try to work something out for their future. So you see a lot of players studying at the same time because they want to have a future outside football. That's another story. But definitely the fact that we're going to pick up, hopefully, a lot more players coming through, getting opportunities, showing them what they can do. A lot of the ACL teams have used that as well, like Melbourne Victor. I'm a real big fan of Laurie Latanzio, whatever the other guy last name is. He's got a hyphenated name. He's a really good player, and we've seen a lot of players like that get opportunities because of the fact that they're given opportunities, because there aren't as many older players in there, or foreign players, because there's not as much space to have super expensive players. But I think what the Roar have done really well this season is they've got a lot of experience that they kept around with the Tom Aldreds, the Macaulay Gillespie as well. He's not that old, but he's a really experienced head. You've got Scott McDonald and O'Shea, Jamie Young, Jack Hingett, players like that you build around, and then you've got a lot of the youth system coming through. And something that Warren Moon's done really well is because of the fact that he knows the NBL and he knows the academy so well, is he's bringing in players from the NPL that he's either coached himself or know from the NPL that are really good, and giving them opportunities. Because we've seen in pre-season, Josh Brindle South, I'm really impressed with him against Penn Power. He did really well in the fact that Jack Hingle was out. I think he told me with a little niggle injury. So Josh Brindle South, there was a story this week, and he's really taking the opportunities by storm and getting a lot of chances and showing Warren Moon what he can do, and repaying the faith that he did by bringing him in. And I think that's a lot of managers hopefully will look at doing that in the future, because players in the NPL throughout the years have been getting a lot of not a lot of chance to impress in the actual A-League and stuff like that, because of the fact that there were so many foreigners, and such a big deal on doing well and buying big players and stuff like that. We still may see that happen, but for this season I think there'll be a lot more youth coming through, and then that's going to be a good thing, because if you think of the Belgian league, you don't think of very big players over there, because the fact that the only big players that I can think of is Vincent Kompany and Jan Vertonghen, players that have been a really good standard before and then have gone back there to retire or finish up over there. But the fact is, their national team is so good because they have all their young players getting so many games a season. Obviously, there's a lot more games over in the Belgian league than there is in the A-League. But in saying that, a lot of players over there, like Libby Karche is over there, was under Kevin Muscat, but unfortunately he got sacked. As much as I didn't like Kevin Muscat as a manager, as Admiral and Victor, I always want to see managers overseas from Australia do well. So unfortunately, he's gone there. Hopefully, Libby Karche can still get game time and keep pushing himself, because that's something that sort of goes wrong. If they sign for a manager under a manager that looks at playing them, and then a new manager comes in, they're obviously going to have their players that they want to bring in and stuff like that. So hopefully, he can impress the new manager there and do really well there. But that's something that Belgium do really well. They've got an awesome national team, because they have all their youth players coming through and playing game after game after game, season after season in the Belgian top flight, and then getting picked up by teams like you think of Hazard and De Bruyne and stuff. They were in the Belgian league, and now they're killing it over in the La Liga and the Premier League and stuff like that. we can have players like that. If we develop our players enough and give a lot of youth players game time in the A-League, they can push on. They can go to the Championship. They can go to the Premier League. They can go to the Serie A. They can go to the Spanish League. And they can push themselves. And like that's something that we missed out a lot by having this salary cap and having that foreign rule. I think for next season anyway, not this season but the one after, they definitely should drop the foreign rule, because I feel like this season a lot of people go, oh, there's not going to be as many good players, I'm not going to watch, the league standard will drop. But in saying that, we're going to see a lot of players that we never really even heard of before, or only just starting to come through the years, actually take the world by storm. Well, not the world, but I mean, it could take the world by storm, and then and show players what they can do, and show fans what they can do, and then show clubs, because it's hard. I was listening to a podcast, and they said the fact that youth players, it's hard to try to get them to sign overseas, because the fact that if they're not really getting game time, it's hard to show clubs what they can do, because there's not really a highlight reel and stuff like that. So I'm all for getting more youth players in the A-League, all for getting a second division if it's viable, if it's able to be afforded. At the moment, it probably looks like no, but this is probably the best way forward at the moment, getting more youth players, more runs in the A-League. I know that next season in the NPL Queensland, there's going to be an under-23s league as well, so I guess you have players that are maybe on the fringe of the A-League getting game time, at least still getting game time, because the National Youth League is ridiculous here, 9-8 games or whatever it is, it's ridiculous. You need a full head-to-head season where they're getting game time, so at least in the NPL, if they're signed under the Raw Academy or so, because I know the Raw Academy and a lot of academies around Australia are doing well, and they're bringing players in and producing them. And this season we've seen a few players get picked up or training with the A-League squad that might actually get a senior deal. Keegan Jelacic and Hassi Ramazani, he might get picked up as well. Both of them may get picked up by the Raw on senior deals, or at least maybe scholarship deals, because of the fact that they're so good in the academy and they've had that chance to be in that professional environment and train day in, day out with the Raw, that they're given an opportunity, and then they can show that they don't look any worse. Like, I mean, Danny Kim showed, like, the NPL standard has got, like, a great standard there, and there's players there that, if they're given the opportunity, they can do really well. So I think I'll upload this video on the 4th of the 12th, hopefully, this afternoon. And tomorrow will be the NPL All-Stars versus the Brisbane Roar. And don't come at me and say, you talk about all these youth players and they don't do anything, because I feel like they will definitely show a good test against the Brisbane Roar, and they'll have there's a lot of players coming off at the end of their season, so they should be in peak fitness. So I reckon they'll give the Roar a run for their money, and you might see a few players there, like the likes of Lofthouse, Danny Lex in there, Zakia, players that are Henry Hoare. There's so many players in there that will impress you if you actually give them a chance to watch it. So, I mean, get behind the NPL next season when it comes out. Get behind the A-League when it comes back. It's a bit under a month left anyway. I might do a few more videos before the actual A-League starts, but I wanted to get this video out. It was going to be a quick one, but I rambled on like I always do. But I feel like it's going to be a good season. The people that are saying that it's not going to be a good season because of the fact that there's less foreigners coming through, more youth coming through, watch this space, because they're going to impress you, and we're going to see hopefully a second golden generation if we give these young kids a go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, and I'm out. Peace.